And bold too. Like you need about 2 or 3 bold guys, and you can change your county. That's all you need. You don't need numbers. You
Amen.
need 2 or 3 bold guys who believe what they're talking about. True believers, if you will.
Well, dude, I remember watching a Joe Rogan podcast, and he had I can't remember the guy. He talks like this. He's got the real thick New York accent, and he's like, I don't need an army. He's like, give me 2 or 3 bad blankety blanks, and we'll go destroy a hemisphere. And I was like, dude, that's how Christians should think. Like, give me 2 or 3 bold dudes, and let's go advance like just wild, and we'll transform a county. And then when you transform a county, you transform a state. Nocturnal. Welcome to the Caleb Gordon Podcast, Mr. Adam White. What's going on, my friend?
Brother, just happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. We've been trying to coordinate schedules to get some stuff together and talk about stuff. And this is nothing not going to be anything, maybe it is going to be theologically groundbreaking. I don't know. Maybe we're going to solve all the world's problems and do something amazing. I have no idea. I just know that I enjoy the things that you post. I enjoy the things that you say, and I just want to put you up here and just say, hey, you guys should check out what Adam's saying and doing. So, give us sort of kind of a 30,000 foot view. Who is Adam? What's your claim to fame?
Just walk through my life real fast. Again, grew up Oklahoma, small towns are in Oklahoma. Went to Oklahoma State. Go Pokes, met my wife there, got married. Go Pokes, that's it. Got married in college. Did the military after that. So a few
Thank you for your
rotations
service.
to Afghanistan. Yep. Few rotations to Afghanistan, few rotations to Eastern Europe type area. Got hurt, came back to Oklahoma. And the perfect time to find a job. So right when COVID hit, when everything just went, my plans A, B, C, D, E, F, G all just went right out the window. Had some really big plans, and we found a place down closer to Lake Eufaula, and just kind of working for some municipals here, there, just working on a current job, trying to help people get jobs. So that's where I'm at on that. And at the end of the day, if I could say as a summary of everything, though, for highlights of my life, just trying to be a disciple who Jesus loved. So that's where I'm at on this.
Love it. One of the things that you posted and that I wanted to just kind of dive in and have a conversation.
Yeah.
You said a couple days ago on social media, you said, in combat, I'd rather have 2 more soldier medics. Or I'm sorry, soldier. I can't read. So you said, in combat, I'd rather have 2 solid medics than 200 more generals on my team. And he said, in the church, it's about the same. In business, it's about the same. It's in life. In life, it's about the same. So give me a 30,000 foot view. What do you mean by you'd rather have 2 more medics or 2 more soldier medics than 200 more generals?
Yeah. So I'll give you the military perspective on it first, right? I think a lot of people get a general kind of up here at the political level. A lot of smart guys up there. They've got a great grasp on organization. They have a great grasp on military doctrine. They have a great grasp on moving and shaking and making things happen at this high level. But at the end of the day, I don't know a single combat member who would disagree with me on I'd rather just have 2 people that know how to put their hands on me and save my life when I'm hurting, when I'm bleeding out, than 100 theorists about the thing. And a kind of cool thing about medics, and this is, I don't care if you were a knuckle dragon, just combat guy like I was for a while, or you move into the special operations community where you've got some really, really, really cool advanced training for these guys that can basically do surgery in a forest on you. Like, they are incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody's nice to the medic. Everybody's kind to the medic. And I think and on one level, I think a big part of that is, I think whoever wants to be on the medic's good side in case it's me versus Jim over here bleeding out. Who's he going
Come
to
on.
help out?
Come
But the
on.
more that you kind of wrestle with that, I don't think that's the case. And for me, it was just I know this is the guy that at the end of the day is going to hold my mortality in
Yeah.
his hands, possibly. And I've had that. I've been treated by medics in combat before, and just the professionalism, the respect that I had for those guys who were there to help me in my worst, like some of the worst situations imaginable. They were there to help keep me alive. They were there to treat me and get me back on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, they're kind of like angels, if I can be honest.
Okay.
They're just
Yeah. Yeah.
ministers of goodness to people. So,
Yes. Yes. Well, and I think we have so many different scenarios in churches where, and in business and in just life in general,
mhm,
where you've got people that aren't interested in trying to help edify your soul, bring you into a better space business wise. So like let's just throw into the world of business,
mhm,
or ministry, whatever you want to call it. So
yeah,
we do these, these guys have these podcasts, and we have these setups where we have businesses, we're building businesses. I'm very much, I have a post mill mindset. I
mhm,
like, aggressively, let's go build and conquer and
yeah,
take over and do things for the glory of God and the advance of his kingdom. But what can tend to happen is, man, we could slip into somebody that's successful. Like, it's funny because I don't know, several months ago, had a guy come
mhm,
up to me and he was just like, I just need you to forgive me. And I was like,
mhm,
for what? He goes, I like, and I inadvertently did something that I didn't even realize I did.
mhm,
We were supposed to have a meeting and something happened and I didn't end up going to the meeting. And he was just like, he got really angry, and then he just watched. He's like, I hated watching your success.
mhm,
And I, and I,
mhm,
and I, it just really bothered me. And I was like, and he said, will you forgive me? And I was like, absolutely. I didn't even realize I screwed up. Like, I did.
yeah,
I owned it. I was
yeah,
like, bro, I'm so sorry I
yeah,
didn't show up for the meeting. Like, he's like, you totally like ghosted me on this meeting. And I was like, and like, the more I thought about it, I was like, crap, I did.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
but like down deep, he's angry that, I didn't, that he's seeing. And this is the weird thing about the internet. The internet gives
mhm,
perceptions of wins when really maybe there's not wins.
yeah,
Because all we do is throw the highlight reels. You don't see all the messy, dirty. You don't see all the no's
mhm,
before you get the yeses. Like, you're going to
yeah,
have 100 no's compared to the 2 yeses.
yeah,
And people don't see the 100 no's. They just, because we don't post about, and maybe we should post about the 100 no's. Hey, man,
yeah.
didn't win
Well,
this one this time. Tried to get this thing nailed down. Tried to make this happen. Didn't work. It just blew up in my face. We don't do that. We always we post the successes on here and say, okay,
mhm,
hey, we won. Here's how we won. And I think that if we have a different mindset of the idea of a medic coming in, and this idea of brothers coming alongside,
mhm,
we use the military term, like
yeah,
having my back. You got my six, like you're like, we're right next to each other,
yeah,
making sure that I'm not picked off by the actual enemy, as
mhm,
opposed to Adam's not my enemy. But we've done it in such a way on the internet where we've turned each other into enemies because, well, you're
yeah,
succeeding and I don't like that Adam's succeeding. So because Adam's
yeah.
succeeding, I want to throw shade at him.
Right.
So
Well, and I think you bring up like there's two things that you bring up here that I think are important, right? So one with the idea of the 100 no's, your friend did not enjoy seeing you succeed, even though he didn't see the struggle leading up to that.
Mhm.
I think a big maybe not purpose, but reason that we don't talk about those no's, those losses, is we know that as Americans, it makes people very uncomfortable if they see suffering or pain in any capacity. We're not used to it. Like
Come on.
if someone's sick, we take them to the hospital. And I'm
Hmm.
thankful for hospitals, right? If
Yes.
if someone is mentally ill, we send them to a psychiatrist. If
Yep.
someone is struggling in any way, we push them to a professional because it's uncomfortable dealing
Mhm.
with struggling people and suffering people. We
Mhm.
don't know how to just be around that in any capacity.
100%. 100%.
Um, but then, two, I think you also bring up something interesting on the near enemies, right? And again, I'm not. I often I talk with my wife about this today. I often bring up military terminology or military ideas because people, even if you just watched it as movies growing up, you kind of get this idea.
Nope.
And I think you hit something called what I call theological danger close. So danger
Mm.
close is when you
Okay.
call in a strike in an area where there's friendlies nearby.
Hmm.
Okay, so the rule for them is within 600 yards or 600 meters. We think
Yep.
there's bad guys right there, but there's friendlies close too, and we're willing to drop bombs on. In my perspective, way too close to friendlies. We're willing to hurt our allies, hurt people who are their fellow brothers in Christ. But because they're kind of close to this group that I don't like, I don't mind dropping a nuke on them.
Hmm.
And it's just I think it's harmful, and I've got a
Absolutely.
lot of thoughts on that we don't have time to go into today. But
Well,
it's just
listen. I mean, and
yeah,
I genuinely believe that that's a problem in the world today, in the specifically in the church,
yeah,
where we because maybe somebody doesn't align with you in every area of your life
hmm
in terms of your theology.
yeah,
Um, I mean, that's one of the reasons I struggle somewhat. Like, I am definitely, I would consider myself a guy that wants to see, and this, golly, I can't even believe I'm going to say this because this is going to get me in
hmm
trouble. Um,
just
I,
throw it, throw
I
that.
want, I know, go full
Yeah,
send.
yeah,
I want to see abortion absolutely obliterated. Like, I want
hmm
to see it scorched earth gone.
yeah,
But here's where I'm struggling because I'm watching it in real, like I'm standing outside watching the abolitionist movement, and like I'm yes and amen. I agree 1,000%. And we keep having these same rallies, we keep having these same events, we keep having these same echo chambers where we're doing the same
yeah,
thing over and 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 over again.
yeah,
And nothing, and it's the same thing. We're like, it's just these moron people that are in the government. Yes, I
hmm
agree, but
hmm
let's like, we're not seeing, and this is, I don't even know how to articulate this, and I know it's going to get me in trouble
yeah.
somewhere. And this may, if they want to defriend me, whatever, I don't care.
hmm
Um,
Thanks for bringing me along for this, by the way. If I
right.
sync with you,
Yeah,
I
but
appreciate.
well,
Yeah,
let's just blow each other up, right? And who
let's
knows?
do it.
I may
Yeah,
even edit this whole thing, part of it out. But I just
yeah,
like,
hmm
um, where we're throwing out this whole idea that incrementalism is absolutely, and like, I get
hmm
the sentiment of it, but you've
yeah,
got to think about what the other side's been doing. The other side has been playing the incremental game
hmm
for decades, and they've won. So what would
hmm
happen if okay, yes, I've been to the abortion mills. I've seen
yeah,
the the women who are driving up on their Mercedes getting their abortions. Absolutely,
yeah,
it's atrocious. They should, like,
hmm
they should be ashamed of themselves. It is wicked. It is vile. So eventually, can we criminalize this? I think we probably should. I
yeah,
think we probably should, but it's obviously not working in the moment. So
hmm
do we keep just doing the same thing over and over again? Or, okay, like, we got rid of, here in Oklahoma, we got rid of abortion clinics. Now the next thing
hmm
is the pill. Okay,
yeah,
what can we do to outlaw the pill? Like, we got the clinics closed. What can we do to get the pills banned from the state? People say, well, this is
right.
not okay. Let's start on a state level. Okay, let's
hmm
knock it out on the state level. How can we get rid of the pills here, getting them in the state? Well, they'll go to Kansas. They'll go to Texas. Okay, fine. Go, let them go. Whatever.
Yeah,
That's like, we're cleaning house. What can we do to make that a reality, rather than just
hmm
saying we're going to criminalize everything? Okay, let's make it
yeah,
illegal to get the pill. Let's make the clinics closed. Like, I think
yeah,
that, let's start there. You say that, well, that's incrementalism. Okay, well, that gets things done, as opposed to having your rallies, having your events, and
yeah,
then getting back on social media going, well, it didn't work this time. We'll try again next time. And like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just,
I'll say again, amen. I'm with you on this. And I
I don't
think
know.
like there's a part of this idea of so society itself. I completely with you. Just repent, look to Christ. Let's do this
Yes.
at every level. But at
Yes.
the same time, we're in a society so sick, so far gone. It's going to take a minute to heal,
Yes.
and there's going to be scar tissue along the way. And there's actually an interesting tool that again. So another, I had a business for a while. I shut it down. It was getting kind of weird
Yeah.
with some of my clients. But we used to teach people how to non-violently overthrow governments overseas. So that was a part of our contract that we worked with. I was a
Yep.
consultant for a group
Yep.
for a while, and it kind of went weird. But there's a tool called
You're right, I bet.
it's getting awkward, right?
That's
Um,
fine.
there's a tool out there called the Spectrum of Allies.
Mm-hmm.
Spectrum of Allies, and basically it's this like half circle. And I don't know how it's going to be better for your viewers, but basically on one side over here, it's people who are 100% on your side. They are
Mm-hmm.
staunch allies,
Yes.
ideologically perfectly aligned.
Yep.
And then over here on this side, it's your arch nemesis, the antithesis to who you are is over
Right.
here.
Right. Yeah.
This thing basically lays out how you should coordinate with people across the spectrum in order to push everybody more towards your side.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody who's like, well, they're kind of aligned with me, but not all the way. It's like, well, man, that's your ally. It really is in this fight. In state might look a little bit different. You guys can work on that, but everybody benefits by shifting
Mm-hmm.
more to your side.
Yes.
And that goes in I know I kind of have this guerrilla warfare mindset to everything that I do,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a mustard seed. The thing's going to go slowly. It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
be maybe as intense or quick as I'd like, but
Right. I
that's
mean, and
patience,
so
right? My sanctification is not
yeah.
overnight. It's like I see progress. It's painful. It hurts, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm pruning myself constantly, but it's one snip at a time. That's the kingdom of God.
Yeah, and I'm 100% on wanting to see these things eradicated.
Yeah,
I mean, don't like, oh, Caleb's gone soft on this. Absolutely
yeah,
not. I am 100% like I 100% want it gone.
yeah.
I think it should be illegal, not
Hmm.
unthinkable. Like, oh, we should make
Right.
abortion unthinkable. No, we
Yeah.
should make it. We should be illegal. Period. We should
Yeah.
get rid of it. But I think the avenues in which we're going, it doesn't seem like it's working. We may seem like we're gaining ground in certain spectrums, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden it's completely gone, and we just have to start from scratch again. Okay, what can
Yeah.
we do to actually gain ground and change society
Hmm.
and actually make it illegal in maybe a different avenue? And let's get to the
Hmm.
same end result. I want to get to the same end result, but I may
Right.
take a little bit different path. And this doesn't mean, I'm not trying to advocate for any type of, weird religious ideas where we're like, oh, we're all
Yeah.
taking different roads and we're all going to get to God. That's not what I'm trying to get
Right.
at either.
Right.
Because I know there's going to be some moron out there that's going to try to pin that on me. He's like, oh, you're trying to
Hmm.
use this to God. There's multiple paths of God. No, Jesus is the
Hmm.
only way to God. So, I
Right.
mean, let's snap that.
Yeah. Or the way I put it, every path is a path to God, but there's only one that you want to make. Every
Exactly.
path leads to God, but there's only one path you want to be on. So,
100%. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the
yeah.
Father. Yeah, period. So, yeah. I don't know. I just, and this is back to the idea of I just feel like we're in a giant echo chamber and we're yesing and amen each other. And we're high fiving.
Yep.
Yeah, you said the right things. You said, yeah, you really gave it to him on social media. Like, I just want people to, like, the amount of, like, that we're having a 40-minute podcast.
Hmm.
The reality, there's probably going to be a dozen people actually watch this.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll have 500 views, but I
Hmm.
guarantee you, they're not getting through the entire 40 minutes.
Right.
And when you write an article that's like 20,000 words, let me just be really straight. The theological nerds are reading it and they're going, oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
But the average Joe, maybe
Yeah.
2 paragraphs in, and he's like, yeah, I don't care anymore. Because we don't care. Like, most people do not care. How do you get people to care? Like that, I guess I want to try to figure out a way
Yeah.
to change people's care. Like, I want them to care about these things in a way where they actually want to do something to change their city and not just be in an echo chamber where and go, yeah, abortion bad and Republicans bad and Democrats
Yeah.
bad. Everybody's bad.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yes. But you get in a room and it's an echo chamber of 20, 30, 40, 50 people saying the same thing day in and day out. Like, you're not actually changing the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just echo chambering each other.
There's a part of this, have you heard of the idea of the gratitude journal, where basically at the end of every day or every week, you write down 3 things or 10 things that could happen to you that week.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea. I think it alleviates some stress and some
Yes.
anxiety, but what it tends to cultivate is passivism. It's, well, these good things have happened to me.
Yep.
What's interesting, if you want to cultivate care, if you want to cultivate action into people,
Yes.
you do something called a contribution journal. And basically, at the end of every day, at the end of every week, you write down three things, or at the end of the week, you write down five things that you did that significantly helped someone else. And then you reflect on that and
Mhm.
you realize, oh man, you know what? My life makes a difference if I do something. I'm 1,000% gratitude. Let me tell you all the things that I'm so grateful for. And let me flip the script though and say, I'm also something that someone else could be grateful for. I have gifts, I have ability, and I don't want to squander them. And you have the ability to enable change in
Yeah.
society, in your network, in your family. You can start small and build up. Man, you got this is my big passion point is we got so many God-given gifts and we just squander them because we're too passive. There's no story in the Bible where it's just someone just sitting thankfully and that's it. And that's a
Yeah.
component of the Christian walk,
But there's
but there's
action
always action.
involved.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
always action, and these people think that their actions have meaning and purpose and
Mhm.
impact, and they do. And most people that I'm like you and me talking right now, your life has meaning because of the actions that you take. Yes, you're intrinsically valuable as a child of God, Imago Dei, but at the end of the day, you could be like an aesthetic, right? You're sitting on a pole with all the gratitude in the world, but you've not been called to stand on a pole. You've been called to be well a medic, right? In
Mhm.
the church,
Yes.
helping people, helping your neighbors. Go out, put your hands on people, and not punch them, right? I want to be clear, like go help people, right? Don't put your hands on like we
No,
think, right?
yeah.
But
Yeah.
not like my dad would tell me, put my hands on you. No, not like that,
No,
but
not
like
that, not
yeah,
that kind of hands. Yeah, no,
go,
no.
go, go tangibly serve your fellow man. And I am all about prayer. I love prayer,
Yes.
but it drives me nuts when I'm just like, hey, I'll pray for you. It's like I always want to go beyond
Yes.
just that. It's faith plus works,
Yeah,
right?
which
And I
and
think
that's
we miss
not
the works.
and just so the reform people aren't freaking out, he's not a
Yeah.
guy that says you're saved by your works. Calm
No.
down,
No.
calm
Yeah.
down. Like that's I just have to
Yeah.
I have to say these things because I
Yeah.
guarantee there's going to be some nitpicky person that's going to be like, well, he said you're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the thing, like we were called to it, right? We were called to works, and
Yeah,
I think it's a beautiful thing. What is your life? What is your testimony? What is all
yeah.
this? If
Because of what
you
Christ
can't
did
look
in
and
your
say,
heart,
yeah,
you're actually going to do something.
yeah, and something that matters eternally at this point.
And listen, whether that's evangelism, which
Yeah.
I think every believer has an evangelist down deep inside of them,
Yeah.
because we have we can get passionate about a game, we can get passionate
Yeah.
about. I mean, that's a whole nother. Like I had a conversation with one of the ladies in my church tonight over the
Hmm.
phone. She was like, "I'm just a grandma. I can't do anything." I was like, "Don't believe that garbage. Like that is
Hmm.
absolute utter garbage."
Yeah.
Everyone who has been redeemed by the Lord Jesus Christ can actually change the world, because we've got
Yeah.
this mindset that, oh, I'm one person, I can't change the world. Well, the Bible is full of stories about one person that changes the entire world. And
Yeah.
so we can do that. We just have to be actually aggressively doing things. So
Yeah.
I
And,
don't know.
and can I make a completely uninformed comment real fast on
Please.
your grandma friend? Um, sometimes the biggest gift you can give somebody is just being with them. Like I visited so many friends at a church I was at for a while. So we had some people go to the hospital, and I may have been the only person that came and visited them. And I didn't have any great things to say. I'm just showing up looking like this, right? Like Sasquatch and Shrek had a baby, right? Like I'm not bringing any looks to the game. But I would just sit with him and be like, hey, well, hey, what do you want to talk about? We can read a psalm or something and just chat. But even that grandma, it's like, just go be with someone who's suffering.
Yes.
Just go be in their presence. And
Yep.
I think it's shocking how much your life makes that impact. And I always think about this, like if there was 1 hour in my life that I was actually born to perform, like everything else just kind of led up to this. I never know if that every struggle I've been through, every battle, every pain, every suffering, every achievement, triumph, it all just led to this one point where I talked to someone for 15 minutes just and they felt less lonely. And I just gave them that little bit of encouragement just to keep going.
Yeah.
And so anyone can do that.
Yes.
You can go sit with someone who's in suffering. And
100%.
I think there's something amazing to that.
I heard a great talking point from it. You know who Simon Sinek is?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So he was having this conversation. He said there's been a study done that's been proven that most human beings just need 8 minutes. If you would sit down with them for 8 minutes so that they feel seen,
Hmm.
feel valued, feel whatever, eight
Yeah.
minutes. That's all it takes. So he had this
Hmm.
friend that was the story goes back and forth, and he's like, they sent me a text and said, "Man, I need to talk," and I didn't answer them.
Hmm.
something went on, and they just said, I really needed you, and he's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry, and
Yeah.
something happened. He goes, next time, just text me, say I need 8 minutes,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
give him 8 minutes, and that 8 minutes alleviates so much stress and pain. Like I've
Hmm.
kept that in the back of my brain when somebody's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a few?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And so
Yeah.
I'll even mentally try to like remember how long 8 minutes goes, and it's usually with just 5 to 6. And
Yeah.
they're once they've vented, once they've said what they needed to say, they're like, "Okay, I feel better." And I'm just like, that's all most people want is
Hmm.
they want to know that they've actually been seen. And
Yeah.
that's not some sort of a weird hyperbolic, uh, whatever. That is an
Yeah.
actual thing that people want to be seen. Like I think about
Yeah.
me, think about my personal needs, and I have a giant desire for community. Like
Hmm.
I want to have people at my house all the time. Like I love having the fire pit out back. I
Yeah.
love having people sit around talking about things of the Lord, talking about
Hmm.
politics, talking about all these things. And then that fills my tank. And that may not
Yeah.
be for everybody,
Yeah.
but I can guarantee you nobody wants to sit in the house by themselves day in and day out every single day of their
Yeah.
life alone.
Hmm.
We're built for community. We're built for
Yeah.
one another. So
Yeah. Well,
uh,
and that was one of God's first comments on mankind. It's not good that man should be alone,
come on.
right?
Yes.
We're built to be with one another. And I think if we go too introspective on that, that can harm us if we're just too in our own head. And you talk to someone like you said for 8 minutes, and you actually listen, like not just okay, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, how to respond, but you're willing to just sit for 8 minutes and listen to actually listen. Man, they're going to share things with you that it's going to humble you first off. Like if you say, man, give me the stuff you're dealing with, give me the issues, give me your fears. I mean, it's amazing what can happen just by listening. And we talk about going back to the medic thing, right? Some of that spiritual triage that happens is just in listening to somebody because they've never had a single. And I put on workshops every week, and we got to get to know 20 to 30 people every week, and by the end of the week, we're pretty bonded with most of these people, especially in our small groups. And I feel like if God's given me one good gift, it's the ability to listen well and listen patient. And I've been working on patience. That's been my theme for like the past 2 years of my life. And be careful when you pray for that, man, because
Yes.
it's not you're gonna get a lot of patience.
Oh, bro, it's
But
coming.
yeah, but just guys like I've got 50-year-old truck drivers and welders in tears, just saying like this is the first time I've ever felt like someone's actually listened to me.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about an ability to connect with somebody, just hear them and just like put down all the talking points and the slam dunk YouTube clips like we always like to talk about like, oh, I'm going to get him with the theology point here, or that's not right.
Yep.
Just sit and listen, like try to understand, develop your own wisdom,
Mhm.
and then you can talk. But you've built up enough respect with that person just by saying, hey, I heard what you had to say and I didn't run and I didn't attack you. What do you got to say? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Oh, I had a moment where that happened. This was last summer. I was
Hmm.
at an event, like a conference setting,
Yeah.
and I walked past this older man, and he's like with a walker.
Hmm.
And I'm with my wife, and I'm with my wife's cousin and her husband and their kids, and we're walking past them, and I was like, "Hey, man, how are you?" And I just kept walking, and
Hmm.
I guess this, and I was so focused in getting to my seat.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, man, how are you?" And I just was being,
Yeah.
doing the nice thing because we shake
Yeah.
it. Hey, how are you doing? That's
Yeah.
just a standard greeting that we give one another. We don't really want to know how you're doing. We just want to
Yeah.
hear hey, I'm doing good. All right, cool. Me
Yeah.
too.
Hmm.
Blessed and highly favored. Well,
Yeah.
I guess he
Yeah.
like started unpacking how he was doing, and I kept going, and my
Mm.
wife stayed back and talked to this older man,
Yeah.
and she was like, baby, you totally blew it. And
Yeah.
I was like, so I've been really like a guy. I don't know if you know who Bubba Bertram is.
Mm-mm. No.
He was on the 2000 OU OU football
The
championship
national champ
team.
team? Okay, yeah, okay.
Yep, yep,
Yep,
yep.
yep.
And he lives in Oklahoma here, and he
Mhm,
does a lot of men's ministry stuff. And he was a guy that really like pushed on me to say, "Hey, man," rather than saying, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Look at them and shake their hand and say, "Hey, it's good to see you."
Hmm.
That way, it's not a. It's a unless you want to know how they're doing. And he goes,
Yeah.
I don't ask that question unless I'm willing to commit at least 5 minutes of my time to hear how they're doing and let them just
Hmm.
vent. He goes, so most of the time I'm like, hey man, I saw him, I don't know, last fall at a farmer's market, and he was like, hey man, it's good to see you. So I was like, he didn't want to talk.
I got no 8 minutes for this guy,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's at the farmer's market. I got to go get my stuff. So yeah, it's
Dude,
wild.
and even on that, like, and I'll say this, I'm in. Please, nobody go find this thing. But the first sermon that I had ever preached ever was on that exact question. Like, and I call it the Great American Lie of "I'm
Yep.
good." Like,
Yep.
how are you doing? I'm good. And that kind of pulls back to the idea of we're uncomfortable with suffering. We don't like to
Yep.
talk about it. If I ask you that and you actually like your with your older gentleman friend, I start telling you how I am, we get really like, oh, I wasn't ready
It's
for this.
super uncomfortable because somebody's
Yeah,
going to unpack and be like, let me tell you about my
yeah,
divorce. Let me tell you
yeah,
about my sickness. And you're just like, please
yeah,
let my phone ring. Please let
yeah.
something happen.
Right. Well, and a portion of this too, you think about the Good Samaritan, and I think about how many times in my life I've been the priest walking by or the Pharisee walking by because you had other things to do. You're
Yep.
busy. And by the way,
Yep.
the priest, the Pharisee, they're not they're doing what God is ordaining them to do.
Yeah.
They're going
They're
to
doing
go
things.
prepare things. Don't want to touch a dead body. Like there's a lot going into
Nope.
that story.
Nope.
But at the end of the day, who did God look in that procession of people going through that
Mhm.
was the hero? It was
Yep.
the one person willing to put their hands on somebody,
Yep. And do
minister to
things.
him, yeah, and sacrifice away from their own life. Their plans got changed. Whatever that Good Samaritan was doing on that trip,
Financially, their life
yeah,
changed too.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they're willing to sacrifice, and it goes back to tangible, like in a tangible way, not in theory. Not, hey, I'll pray for you, man. You look like you're in a bad spot, but
Come on.
I'm willing to disrupt my life to serve you in a
Yeah.
way that you could not serve yourself. And I think
Amen.
that's a big component of what brings Christ's richness into our life.
100%. So we got about 8 minutes left on this thing. And
Beautiful. Well, you got 8 minutes?
I got
You got
eight
8 minutes?
minutes.
All
Yes.
right, let's do it, man. Yeah.
I literally, it's like it just popped up and said 8 minutes. So I was like, oh, this is hilarious. So talking about
Yeah.
growing businesses, what
Yeah.
what are you doing in your space in terms of the business world and advancing the kingdom through commerce through business?
Yeah. So like I said, I had a business for a while called Tomahawk Social Innovations. Put it to the side just because that world gets really funny. I'm sure I was getting some of that USAID funding that was getting funneled places. Like I need to get out of this life a little bit. It's getting weird. Um, and my clients were getting stranger and stranger. Like I gotta step away. But what's interesting is actually on a small level, right? So that's this cool, super sexy, overthrowing governments type thing, and illicit, like teaching people to go undercover, which we still do on like counter human trafficking. That's kind of some volunteer stuff now. But even on a small level, like what my wife is doing is she's starting a bakery, and it's small. It's just in our kitchen, and we're baking chocolate chip cookies and all this other stuff. And what I love about this whole thing is the whole point of it is opportunities to get the gospel into people's lives. So here's my wife coming in out of a pretty bad health situation we've been in for about a year, like completely disabling, where I was getting ready to quit my job, sell my house. I'm just gonna have to be a full-time caretaker for her and my kids, my four daughters. And then the first thing that she does is when she snaps out of it, she's like, I'm gonna go, because her gift is hospitality. She's got a beautiful gift for hospitality.
Yes.
The first thing she does when she heals up is, hey, I want to start a bakery so that we can share gospel tracks with people in places that we wouldn't normally be super welcome, like
Yeah.
music concerts, all this other
Yep.
stuff. We can say, hey, here's some cookies and some, Topo Chico sparkling waters at a
I
pretty
love
discount
it.
rate. I love it. The glass bottles only. I'm an elitist on
Yes.
my water.
Yes.
But the whole point is to say, how can we get into places to share the gospel with people that have never heard it before, and in a very, um, again, very direct way, not, hey, we'll pray for you, but like, hey, here's the gospel of Jesus Christ according to John. Can I have, here's a copy, and we can do the Ray Comfort walkthrough, right? Like when I first started doing some evangelism
Love
publicly,
that.
it was Ray Comfort. And by the way, you
100%.
want to teach people how to care about people, teach them some techniques. Like at our church, when we started going into this, everyone was loved the idea of
Mhm.
evangelism. Oh, that's great, we need to do that. But the fear came over them that prevented the
Yes.
care from happening, because they said, well, we don't know how. And that's my biggest push with a lot of things in church is like you're telling people what to do, and everyone's like, yep, we need to
How?
disciple more, we need to pray more, we need to family worship, evangelize, all this stuff. Yes and amen. But they're scared
How?
because they don't know how. If you give that
Mhm.
how, so
Mhm.
this is something I talk about a lot in our classes. We give them confidence, and all confidence is two Latin terms, con and fide, with faith, and that faith is just knowledge, right? So if I can teach you how to do something with knowledge, you develop your faith, your confidence, and then man, you're ready to go. And we turned that little church I was at into, it was probably an 80-person church, and we turned it into a church of about 30 street evangelists in the
That's
course
so
of like
great. Oh,
6
I
weeks of
love
Ray
that.
Comfort stuff. So
That's fantastic.
and bold too. Like you need about two or three bold guys, and you can change your
Hmm.
county.
Hmm.
That's all you need. You don't need numbers. You need
Amen.
two or three bold guys who believe what they're talking about. True believers, if you will.
Well, dude, I remember watching a Joe Rogan podcast, and he had I can't remember the guy. He talks like this. He's got the real thick New York accent, and
Hmm.
he's like, I don't need an army. He's like,
Hmm.
give me two or three bad blankety
Yeah,
blanks, and
yeah,
we'll go destroy a hemisphere. And I was like,
yeah,
dude, that's how Christians should think. Like, give me
yeah,
two or three bold dudes, and
yeah,
let's go advance like just wild, and we'll transform a
yeah,
county. And then
yeah.
when you transform a county, you transform a state. Like
Hmm.
you just it goes out from there.
Yeah,
I just need a couple of guys that are just like, okay, let's just flip some tables and
yeah.
let's actually go do something, right?
Hmm.
And not just go have an event. Like I'm not,
Yeah,
and listen, I'm hosting conferences. I'm not
hmm,
anti-conference, but that's
yeah,
all you're doing. You're hosting events
yeah,
over and over and over and over. Like get in there and go figure out, go get your hands dirty and talk to the
yeah,
waitress or the waiter and
yeah.
share the gospel in the streets. Go,
Well,
go know your neighbor.
that's something I loved about your book, by the way. Let me plug your book for you real
Oh,
fast. Like your book you just wrote. Of course, I wrote a thing on it
yes, you
on
did.
social
Thank you
media.
for that.
But what I love about it though is you broke down some techniques, and again I think techniques give courage. Courage is a skill. It's not a, you're not born with it or not. Courage is a skill, and you can teach it. And one of the things you mentioned in your book, and one of the and again it's great for people like about same amount of pages as IQ points that I have, right? Like
Oh,
it's
it's like
small for small
65,
brains,
like
right?
65
Yeah.
pages.
But I love that. Here's some practical advice. It's not theory. There's theory in it. Great. Let's talk about this idea,
Yep.
but let's turn it into an abstract concept into practical evidence for what does this look like. And I think we can do a lot with return to some simple things. So
Yes.
yeah. And I didn't bring your book to.
Oh,
I
thanks.
should have gang flashed it.
I'm
Oh hey, all right, yeah,
it's literally sitting on my desk. So
right,
yeah,
yeah.
thanks. Appreciate
But
the
it's
plug. This isn't about
yeah,
me though. Stop.
yeah. I'll take my commission check
All right,
after this for any.
I'll write
Yeah,
that up
just
for you just a minute. I'll Venmo
yeah.
you.
But just on that though. So going back to the how,
Yes.
when I first started evangelizing, though, like some street evangelism stuff, and again, not high stakes, anything big. I kind of stumbled through it, but the only people that would go out with me were some of the guys that weren't like I would say the theologically most aligned with me. It was
Yeah.
the people willing to say, "I'm willing to take risks. I'm willing to look weird for Jesus," because you know what else is life but this? And everyone kind of the polished people were like, "Oh, I don't want to do it until it's perfected." It's like, man, you're never going to get
You're
perfected
never
unless
gonna
you
do
try
it.
it and you fail. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's never
It's
going to be
like
perfect.
I'm not gonna have kids until I can afford it. Well, bro, you're never gonna be
Yeah,
able to afford it. Like
yeah,
eventually you're gonna have like
yeah.
listen, I was broke as a joke and I had four of them.
Hmm.
Or
Yeah.
have four of them presently.
We, but that's the thing is just go. You got a faithful, powerful God who can do some incredible stuff with very imperfect people. And
Yes.
and we've gone to places that, you know, I think the average person would say statistically you're not going to have much success here.
Right.
And we see God work in just incredible ways. And it humbles me because some of which were you. I'm preaching to people that were like me, and God can redeem just about anybody.
Amen. If God can save a guy like Caleb Gordon or the Apostle Paul or David, bro,
Yeah,
or Adam White, I mean,
yeah,
listen, God
yeah,
can save anybody.
yeah.
All right. So if somebody's interested in what you're doing there, maybe they want to have you come do a class or come do some training. How do they get a hold of you? How can they find you?
Yeah. So I'll say this. In terms of training stuff like that, I'm kind of out of that world, so I'm not really interested in that. But I would say this: if you could just pray for the people that are out doing stuff right now, that are out evangelizing. I know a lot of guys in some risky spots. Just keep them in your prayers. And locally, pray for bold men here. At least for us in Oklahoma, there's a need for it. And I'm not kidding when I say, like you said, Caleb, you give me three or four guys in a county, and we can do some amazing things. It's going to take work, and it's God's action and providence and or coordinating all this, but pray for boldness and pray for courage above all things. So cowards won't inherit the kingdom of heaven. I think that's the number one sin we got to deal with is cowardice, not anything else.
Yes, I agree. Well, thanks for coming on the show today and talking to us about things that matter.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Blessings, my friend.
Yep.
Hey, my friends, thanks for tuning in to this podcast. If you enjoyed listening to this conversation, check out calebgordon.org for all the other episodes that are out there, anything that I've written, anything that I have podcast-wise, and I pray that it blesses you and it encourages you. Love y'all.
Well, hey there. How you doing? How's your walk going? So far, mine's been amazing. Let me ask you a question. In your walk in life, do you have a plan for your future? Do you have a plan for your money? Do you have something you want to leave for your children? Do you have a legacy that you want to leave? Maybe you want to move your investments from some rocky ground to maybe something a little bit more green, maybe some greener pastures. Talk to my friends at Revo Financial, and they can help you walk through these difficult seasons in life and find the investments that are right for you and for your families. Check them out at revofinancial.com. Oh yeah, Revo Financial is a proud sponsor of the Caleb Gordon podcast.